Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. We have an important episode for you this week. We're going to go over the results from this week's primary elections, talk a little bit about what it means for our great Commonwealth and the folks we'll be seeing on the ballot in November. Some folks will actually be who won and will be taking office without a November vote. But then we'll close with our call to action. But before we get into that, we want to know, are you ready to help turn Kentucky purple? We know that our Commonwealth has a lot of work to do if we're going to beat back the red wave of bad politics and policy from the GOP supermajority in Frankfort, from making unlicensed, unsecured guns an inalienable right to making ectopic pregnancies a death sentence for women. We are going to need your help. If you want a Commonwealth that works for all of us, please join Progress Kentucky. It is easy to do. Just follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Take action on our website so you can join our email list. But we would like you to just share, comment on, like our content. If you like what you're hearing here on Kernels of Truth, give us a thumbs up, leave us a review, and or share out the show. Just spread the word. Help us to juice the algorithms to make sure that these tech giants help use this megaphone for good. So let's check in with our co-host. Who are you? Where are you? What does your protest sign say today? And of course, we want to read what you've got to protest today. I feel like there's plenty. So you can put it in the chat. And if it's a good one, we can share it on the screen for you. So my sign, I'm Aaron. I'm coming to you from Lexington. And my sign says, how can you be pro-life and pro-white supremacist mass shootings? And then I'll throw it over to my lovely co-host, Kimberly.
I'm just going to say my protest sign says, we are truly working very hard and seeing a little bit of the fruits of our labor. A lot of Democrats have gotten in for the primaries, top contenders, very strong candidates, and I feel confident going into the general election. So my protest sign says, get it, Dems.
Get it, Dems. All right. So let's talk about some of these election results. One story that I think is interesting was the primary fights that happened with a number of incumbent Republicans who'd been in Frankfort for a bit, who'd even achieved the power of committee chairmanships, who had been kind of dependable GOP voices. They were primaried by a number of these liberty-backed candidates. So the liberty element of the Republican Party in Kentucky seems a little MAGA to me. They're very, 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 very conservative, all about guns and abortion. That's all they've got on their websites, campaign websites. One thing that I think played into the hands of some of these candidates was just that the turnout was abysmally low. So 19% maybe of registered voters voted. 83% of those voted actually on Tuesday. I personally was out of town, so I voted early, the no excuse in-person early voting, which happened in every county Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I found it to be super easy. Just walked into Kroger Field and was in and out in 10 minutes. And so there was no line whatsoever. Really well, high functioning democracy. Of course, if that's not very close to you, you'd have to rely on public transportation. But the thing I was a little bit less than enthusiastic about was the fact that I think it closed at 4:30. So very kind of limited hours on that Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which it's not like we stay open late really on normal election day, right? So that closed, I think it's 6:30, which again, I think that's something that should be looked at. But again, weather was beautiful on Tuesday, and a 19% turnout is just pretty sad. What that does mean, though, is that if you've got a decently organized constituency, you can use that to your advantage. Low turnout lets you makes your votes count that much more. And it does seem like folks should get ready in Frankfort. This Liberty Party, folks, what we saw in Northern Kentucky, a number of races They threw out the incumbent, so the 69th district in the House, Adam Koenig, was somebody who did a lot on sports betting. He was one of the leaders in trying to get sports betting through, which of course didn't happen, but it was I think generally a quite popular initiative, but didn't translate in popularity for him. He was beaten by Steve Doan, who was an Erlanger city councilman, and all about unborn and gun rights. That's pretty much. Oh, and fighting against the special interests seeking to raise your taxes. I don't know. I guess that's us. So that's what it says on his website. All right, and then the 66th district, incumbent Ed Massey was thrown out by challenger Steve Rawlings. And again, he was all about the liberties that have been taken away from us in the past 2 years. He doesn't list the liberties. A little vague on what liberties have been taken away from us over the past 2 years, but he's going to fight to get them back. So that's what he'll be doing. And then the 60th district, incumbent Sal Santora was beaten by challenger Marianne Proctor, a constitutional conservative, according to her website, all about preserving the rights of the unborn, and these are folks that will now be a part of that GOP supermajority, but they might not be, party stalwarts. They might have their own agenda that might make things a little bit more interesting and challenging for the GOP to corral there in Frankfort. I think that's the the silver lining that I see in some of these results. But that wasn't across the board. A number of other Liberty Party challengers, did not win in their primary efforts. So Kim King held off Tony Wheatley in the 55th House District. In the 18th House District, Sam Samara Heverin held off Jacob Clark. Jacob Clark and Tony Wheatley got some attention because they were involved with the impeachment effort. And then Brandon Reed, incumbent in the House 24th, held off Courtney Gilbert. Gilbert is the sister of the Senator Adrienne Southworth, who's, I think, a big part of that liberty movement. And then, of course, an interesting one would be the Kentucky 20th District Senate race. Is that the right one? Oh, no, sorry. The 22nd Senate District race, which was Donald Douglas, the current, just got in through a special election, versus Andrew Cooper Ryder. So this was, of course, Cooper Ryder got a lot of attention because he wouldn't follow COVID rules and restrictions with his coffee shop. Became one of the leaders in the effort to impeach Governor Beshear. Pretty much laughed out of court on that idea, and very it was a pretty. I think the turnout in that race was maybe a little bit higher than some of the other background races because Cooper Ryder did have, a bit of a movement working with him. But Dr. Donald Douglas won with 56% of the vote in that primer. So, three of the folks who wanted to impeach Governor Beshear and then tried to use that as a springboard into elected office all failed. So that's good to know. I think that's a great takeaway. And then some other races that I think are worth mentioning would be the Fayette County Attorney race. So this was a big clear kernels of truth bump Fayette County Attorney's race, which we had Angela Evans on the show. She was the primary challenger against Larry Roberts, who'd been in there for 14-ish years. This Larry Roberts, of course, was the prosecutor that would not drop charges against one of the Black Lives Matter protest organizers here in Lexington. She had been charged with inciting a riot. Of course, there was no riot, so hard to see why he would not let that charge fall away. But she kicked his tail. She got 70% of the vote. This is a guy who's been in office for 14 plus years. And she, came on in with a great message and a great ground game. Kudos to her for working with some, established canvas machines. So Laurent Beasley did a great job, I think, helping her on the field effort. Got knocked on a lot of doors, but had good name ID because she'd been on city council before. So she had a district that knew her and liked her clearly. but she won citywide, which was awesome. Also, folks who appeared on on our show, we did a roundtable with the urban county government at large districts, 3 of them. 2 of the 3 are moving on. So we had Dan Wu, Dr. Arnold Farr, and James Brown. And actually, the second highest vote getter was, first time political candidate Dan Wu. So he came in just a few votes under Chuck Ellinger, who's like this family dynasty, right? Chuck's dad, also Chuck Ellinger, been in city council, I think, forever. And Chuck, I think he's a Republican, but pretty reasonable guy, pretty well established and popular. So he was the top vote getter for the at-large seats, but Dan was just behind him. And then I think James Brown was actually the third, and he's of course been in the city council in the 1st district, I believe. So really sad that Dr. Farr did not make the cut. Longtime activist, progressive, just concerned, compassionate individual, but didn't quite have what it took. Fell a few votes short. But we will see Dan and James Brown on the ballot in November for city council, and of course, current mayor Linda Gordon got 71% of the vote, so she's clearly the favorite. Council member David Kloiber got 2nd place, but definitely far behind. And then Adrian Wallace, who's been ACLU leader or NAACP leader, I think locally, and just social justice activist for sure. Also, real estate developer, came in 3rd there, so he won't be moving on. So a lot of different races that I think are interesting. One thing I did want to touch on is, I'm sorry if I jumped around a little bit, Nate, who's trying to pull up images for some of these, but there's a lot of stuff going on in Louisville, right? So what we saw there, one of the biggest races to my eyes was Morgan McGarvey, Senate leader, minority leader Morgan McGarvey, running against Attica Scott, State Representative Attica Scott, for that effort to replace retiring Congressman John Yarmouth. So, of course, in the Kentucky delegation, there's only the Louisville-based district that is, the Democrats have even a shot of holding, which, I think it's a pretty strong Democratic district. We'll see what happens in November, but a really, really important race to see who would, pick up the mantle for that district and be the presumptive favorite. And, one thing to keep in mind is that Representative Attica Scott was running for a long time before Congressman Yarmouth announced that he would be retiring. And then I think it was within 30 seconds of him announcing his retirement, Senator McGarvey threw his hat in the ring. And as folks had noted in the media, he did a really good job fundraising. He definitely raised more than Attica was able to. And, he won pretty handily. So I was a little surprised. I thought it would be tighter. But it was interesting to see that result.
Can I interject just for one moment about that?
Of course.
I'm sorry. I mean, you are talking about Jefferson County.
Yeah, you are our Jefferson Parish political expert. I'm glad to have you chime in.
The largest county in Kentucky, right? So I just want to just a little bit here about Morgan McGarvey and why he won. Okay. All of the blogs, the big time newspapers, Spectrum, all of them have been saying, they keep calling him the establishment pick. The establishment. No, he is not part of the establishment. It's just that he was being himself. Even when it is not a voting year, Morgan is always out. He loves people. Don't put Morgan and myself together. We're going to cut up something bad, right? Because I call him the man with the perfect hair all the time. And he cares about the people. He's done so much for all communities, Black communities, especially. I can go on and on and on. And yes, did a lot of politicians endorse him? It's not because he made all of these great promises, but it was just found out that um, a lot of people started letting their true feelings be to be known on his top challenger. So Morgan is not establishment. He is progressive, and he is going to be visible, and he's going to do a great job. I mean, we just know it because he's done a great job so far with the cards that he has been dealt in Frankfort. So we look forward to him going to Washington in January, and that's all I got to say about it.
Well, he had a good quote. There's two ways to run. There's only two ways to run an election, and that's unopposed or scared. So he's not taking it for granted, which I think is really important. This is not necessarily, as they say, there are headwinds for Democrats right now. If you folks, harken back, and of course it's a different, district looks different, but Ann Northrop held that district for a very long time. So that was, in fact, a Republican district for a really long time, and there are some Democrats.
I gotta interject right there. Can I? Don't be looking like that, Aaron.
Go
You know
go
I'm
ahead.
older than you. You
You
gotta
have
respect yourself.
interjected. Just continue to interject.
Okay, don't be looking like that though. Don't do it. Okay, it's not that far from Louisville to Lexington. Yeah, dig. Okay, right. No, actually, Ann Northrop was a good person. She did come
I didn't say
into.
she wasn't good. I said
Wait
she
a
was a
minute. You
Republican. I
gotta
said she
wait
was
a
a
minute. I can't even
Republican.
see your face. I can't even see your face. So I'm just saying, it might have looked red, but it wasn't really red.
Yeah, yeah. She was a
She
more
was one of
moderate
those
brand.
rare Republicans that was going to do something about what was happening in her district, period. And she was very, very close with my mom. My
Okay.
mom, the late Barbara Brown, a very diehard Democrat through
Mm-hmm.
and through and through. But my mom took ill, and I know this to be a fact that when Ann was in town, she would come to the hospital and always bring my mom flowers. And if she was up on the hill in DC, she made sure that flowers were delivered to my mom's hospital room. And she always made sure to call my mom. So she was like a Republican. I don't know what you call. What do you call a Republican mixed with a lot of Democrat? What's that?
A Republican. She was a Republican. She
It's
voted for the
been so
Republican
long.
Speaker of the House. She was a Republican. But no, I get it. I get it. She was nice to your mom, and she was more compassionate. She was the George Bush style compassionate conservative, maybe. Or back in the day when
We brought
Mitchell.
money into the West End. She brought
Okay.
actual money
All right, so
here.
I didn't have this on the run of show to debate the legacy of Ann Northrop, but I will say this: I think it's the idea that that district is absolutely a lock and safe is not quite accurate. And who knows? I mean, I think Morgan's great. He's been a guest on this show. I think Attica is great. She was our first guest on the show and was a repeat guest and was always very giving of her time. So I was a little surprised it wasn't closer. But what do you think, Kimberly? You're not, yeah, no one. I get you on the establishment story. And I think Morgan's a great politician, and I'm excited to see this race, and I would like to see him go from minority leadership in Frankfort to what will likely be minority party status in Washington D.C. So he's used to it, so that'll be good for him. His expectations are low. But what did you think about that race? I know that you like Morgan, which no one's challenging that idea. But did you expect it to be that much of a kind of a wipeout?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I really did. When it comes to the wire and the rubber meets the road, and you have to figure out who you are going to be for and what do you want your future to look like. The reason why I liked Morgan, not just because we could laugh and cut up, I could do that with anyone and I might not vote for them, right? I might not, I dropped my pen, I'm sorry. I might not vote for them, okay? But he has a track record, even with all of the stalling that there is in Frankfort. He does have a record of getting some things passed. So that's what we are interested in. We're interested in things for our children, our grandchildren, and on and so forth. And from what I can see, the Morgan you saw on the campaign trail is the same Morgan you're going to see the year that he doesn't have to campaign at all. He's going to always be that man to really just connect with his constituency, actually hear and take the best road possible for us. So we're very confident, and the numbers show, they don't lie, that District 3, which is all of Jefferson County, we believe in Morgan.
All right. Well, yeah, he's running scared, which is which I think is not a bad. Don't take anything for granted in politics. I think is what it comes down to, which I think is a really good time to transition to some Lexington outcomes. Let's talk a little bit what happened in Lexington, because there was at least one shocker. So we talked a little bit about the city government, the Fayette County attorney. We talked about city council. Let's talk about State House. So a couple things that were, not necessarily remarkable, but Chad All won in the 79th House District primary. So that is Susan Westrom, who is retiring. That is a very safe Democratic seat. And in fact, there is no Republican running. So congratulations, Chad All. That one was, I think, there was a contest there for sure. And then in the 75th District, where longtime progressive leader Kelly Flood is retiring. That was Susan Westrom versus Lindsey Burke, and Lindsey Burke won. So that is who's going to be going on to serve in Frankfort, because again, no Republican has run in that race. So there we go. That's what's happening in those two districts. And then, they were contested. They weren't that contested. So, and actually, I think Chris Couch had who's running against Burke, I think he'd kind of withdrawn and wasn't actively campaigning. Some things happened there that got him some bad press. He only got 517 votes to her 2,000, nearly 3,000 votes. And then Chad All got 2,790 votes versus Justin Bramhall, who was actively campaigning and was trying to win that primary. He only got 422 votes. So there's those. All right. And I think because we're talking about Lexington, we've got a Lexington-based, special co-host joining us right now, and forgetful individual, Nema Brewer. Hey, Nema.
Hey, sorry, guys. Let me just tell you what I was watching. And that's how I got totally sucked in. So I'm watching this show. I'm a huge murder show person, by the way. And so I'm watching this show about the murder of the basketball player, the Lorenzen Wright, in Memphis. Oh. And so I got so wrapped up into this show. And then I'm like not even paying attention to social media or anything. And then I get on Twitter just briefly. And there's like, well, Nema might show up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, this is awful. So I have an addiction to murder shows. I apologize up front. And I know I probably need to seek help for it. But so thank you guys. Yes. I'll tell you, Lexington, in the state house, I feel pretty good about where we're at right now, especially with the people that are coming in and the people that are leaving. I think those are good fits. The thing that we have to focus on in Lexington is really defending the 88th. And that is Sherilyn Stevenson's seat that they have moved a lot into Scott County. And so that's one of the candidates now that Chad All and Lindsey Burke have gone through. I hope that we Democrats can rally around Sherilyn and get her through. They keep just coming after her, y'all. And I don't know how to and I don't have an answer for it. I guess, maybe they just don't like her at all, or her face, or her friends. Who knows? But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on that. But I did want to back up, Kimberly, to what you were talking about with Morgan and that race. I wasn't surprised either, but it brought up a really interesting thing the last few weeks for me, watching it and following it on social media and and on Twitter and everything else and in the papers. And I wanted to ask you guys this question because I have thoughts about this. Can activists be politicians? And I think there is this three levels of politics, right? I think you have activists, I think you have advocates, and then I think you have electeds, right? And so they all three need to work together. They don't have to like each other, but they have to at least work together for a common good. But they all have a particular role in that three-step process. And I know for me personally, I'm an activist. I'm not a politician. I'm never going to be able to play nice in the sandbox. I'm never going to not be over the top on some of the things that I say because I'm never going to apologize for them. And, but I can work across the aisle with people who are willing to work with me on similar issues. But I do think it's hard to go from activism to the state house. What do you guys think? Or even any political seat?
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think it is absolutely, they're different roles. I think it takes different personality types. I like to say I run from office, not for office.
Me too,
I think it's,
Aaron.
And it's not like there are people beating down my door. Let's be honest.
Right.
But I want to be just as blunt as I need to be. I want to be as forceful as I need to be. My job, at some level, my job is my passion for engagement in our political system that does not pay me, as my wife reminds me, is in fact, it's about having a cause and bringing your passion to it. It's not about necessarily finding common ground and keeping everyone happy so I think politicians have to be far more mindful of the other side of the perspective, at least their constituents' perspective. Right. So that's not a role that I think, I'm cut out for because, I don't necessarily care about the other side's arguments. I want to figure out how to undercut them, and I want to figure out how to get the folks who are waffling to come to our side. But yeah, so I don't think they're the same role. And as for activist v. advocate, yeah, I think I've been able to kind of straddle that line from time to time. It depends on the issue, and there's things I go like way in depth on and become more of an expert on. I'm happy to be an advocate for those policies. But a lot of it, especially in the kernels of truth world, it's like, we're going to bring on the advocates to tell us a little bit more in depth about what's happening in these issues. So again, I'm happy with the activist hat, and I completely concur, Nema, that it's not, they're not the same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Kimberly, what do you think, ma'am?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is Barack Obama. He started off in Chicago as a community organizer. So he was organizing rallies. He was organizing canvassing. He was in the streets of Chicago for the community. And he went from there to a state seat. So was he an advocate or was he an activist? Nema, tell me. I mean, you two Lexington folks, double teaming Jefferson County.
Well,
I love it, girl. I love it. So tell me what exactly, I think to me, like an advocate is like, I'm with y'all. I'm with y'all. What you need? You need some waters down there while you're protesting. You need me to cash app you, send a check. Or an activist is the one that's going to actually walk in the streets with the people and make it happen.
Well, I think I'd like to think that sometimes that I'm an advocate, And because I do pride myself in knowing a lot about public education issues, right? And sometimes like I said, sometimes I can play really, really nice, and I can be rather charming when I want to be. But the majority of the time, I do prefer to be the one that doesn't sit down with people, but basically raises hell. I mean, it's kind of like Aaron was saying. That is much more my personality than sitting down in meetings and saying, "Hey, can we work together on this?" I'm lean much more to the hell raising side, but I also understand the work for the advocate side because I can do that. It's not what I like to do. I mean, that's not, I'm not as comfortable, I guess is the word I'm trying to say in it. And so, it's just one of those things. I don't know. And but you brought up a really good point about Barack Obama. But I also think about, in New York and those places, AOC. And, I think it's a general style that people have, and it makes sometimes crossing that line more difficult. Because I always say my job as an activist is to basically raise enough hell to where the advocates can get in the room and say stuff and get the word out. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I understand exactly what you're saying now. So yes, an advocate or an activist, or the word that you use, the advocates is uh, I feel like we can jump into the roles that we need to jump into. I'm not interested in running for an office at this particular time, although I'm
Boo!
constantly asked to.
Mm-hmm.
But my high is the communications piece, and on a campaign, right?
Oh yeah.
So but no, that negates what I said. I'm sorry. You're a teacher. I apologize. I'm
No, I'm not a
sorry.
teacher. Not a teacher.
Okay, well, you advocate for them. I'm sorry, Miss Nema, but
I do.
um,
I
I
love them. I'm
think
a groupie.
I think at any time we could just jump into whatever role that's needed. I'm sure that myself and Aaron, we are not, and I mean, we're not interested really in running for offices. However, if it came down to the wire and our chairman of the party said, "Look, Aaron, we're going to give you whatever you need to beat such and such," then you have to think to yourself, are you like Amy McGrath? Like, I'm not really thinking about running for nothing, but Chuck Schumer calls you. What do? You say, "Oh, no, I can't do, right. My kids." And stuff.
I don't know that that's the story at all. I think that is a wholly fictional story about how she got to run. But I will say this.
Honestly, it's not.
It's not. I know how it works.
It's not.
I know how it went down.
How it go down? Girl, you see how he's doing me today?
You can't do nothing with him. And I came into the conversation late.
I'm trying to keep my cool.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead. Try to keep that cool. Come on over here in your fast car and take me on, Kimberly. I got to drive.
Oh, I gotta say something. This is nothing politically inclined.
Okay.
Nate, I like to see my colleagues at the same time. I like being in the middle like that. That was cute.
She wants to see the response.
I feel like Joy Reid. So, hey, yesterday I dropped off my car.
Okay. When you dropped it off, how? Like,
yeah.
Erin, you saw when my trunk couldn't even go down. We went to Christy Brown, the billionaire's house, and my trunk, because the lady hit me in the back in March. And finally,
well, it was dark, and I got in on one side, so I didn't see any real problem. I was awestruck by it. I thought it was beautiful. I'm glad it's going to be fully fixed and beautiful. This is not, though, car talk. So I just.
But I just needed to tell you that.
I
just needed to tell you that.
I want to get
because once I get my car back, man, I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be on the road with Charles Booker. He says he's going everywhere. And
I
I'm going
love
to
it.
go right with them.
I
You
love
better.
it. Yeah,
So
I
here's the
love
thing.
it.
If somebody said, hey, Aaron, you need to run, first they have to take down all the kernels of truth, because there's so many incendiary things I have said here that are just living on the internet, waiting for someone to pluck them, which I think is actually a really good transition. So I'm going to try to get us back. Speaking of outrageous things just sitting there on the internet, I don't know if folks have processed this, but in one of the Kentucky races, or one of the Lexington area races that I was a little shocked by, perennial candidate Jeff Young, one who thinks the Kentucky Democratic Party are a bunch of thieves, and has in fact sued the Kentucky Democratic Party in the past. He is somebody who ran against Andy Beshear in 2019. He ran for governor. You might not have noticed, but he did call Andy Beshear a crook in that race. And now you go to young4ky.com, you will see right there on the top, unlike Andy Barr, quote, I will never vote to send weapons to Nazis, because the effort to fund Ukraine's defense against this Russian invasion, in Jeff Young's eyes, Ukraine is brimming with Nazis. I don't know if you've heard some of that language in other places and other forums, but that would be Putin's argument, which, I don't think anyone believes except for apparently Jeff Young. And so we have now in the kind of at the federal stage, we've got some agreement apparently from Jeff Young, candidate for peace, he says. His number one policy plank is to abolish the CIA. And our own Rand Paul, because I don't know if you guys noticed this in the news, you should have. Rand Paul single-handedly held up the vote for aid to Ukraine. He sent Mitch McConnell and a delegation of Republicans to Ukraine empty-handed, because he was able to hold up that vote. They plan to show up with hey, we just passed we're going to give you billions of dollars to fund your heroic fight against Russia. But they couldn't do that. They're like, we're pretty sure we're going to get the money to you. You're just going to need to trust us. I got to, talk to Rand when I get back or whatever. Anyway, so Rand Paul, Jeff Young apparently have some things in common. Don't think that we should be just, willy-nilly funding those who will stand against, Putin's attacks against Russia. So, but we had Chris Priest on the show, friend of Kernels of Truth. Chris was running a well-intentioned, kind of heart-led campaign against Jeff Young, against trying to win the primary so he could take on Andy Barr. I don't think he was necessarily thinking, I got to get past that Jeff Young guy. He's a real serious candidate. But Jeff Young, had a billboard. I never saw a Chris Priest billboard in Lexington. And it's a little shocking that we've gone from Amy McGrath coming within 3 points of taking down Andy Barr just 3 elections ago for this seat to, Josh Hicks, who was a phenomenal candidate, who I think really would have given Andy Barr an absolute run for his money this election. Last year, I think the Trump, math did not make the 6th district nearly as competitive as it could be. Of course, now things have been changed and the district's, different, and they took away Frankfort, Franklin County, which is a store of, with some really good Democrat votes there. And it's a district that, I think somebody like Josh Hicks could absolutely win in a non-pandemic, non-Trump year. So yeah, this is absolutely, it's like in 3 elections, we've gone from an amazing I will say it to anyone, and I'll fight anyone that tells me that she's not an amazing candidate. I think she was an amazing candidate and ran a phenomenal race, and would not have lost but for Trump coming to Richmond, the week before the election and firing up his troops to vote against her, bringing Andy Barr on stage. But then, Josh Hicks, really fantastic. Now it's going to be Jeff Young.
Well, I think for me, and I'll be honest, it occurred to me and some of my friends tonight that hell, he could win it. I mean, why not? Why not? It is Kentucky. It is, we've gone down this rabbit hole of insanity. And so why not? I say, why not? And if he wins, I mean, I'll probably just have to check myself into the nut house. But, but this is where we are. And, and as Democrats, we should be embarrassed for what we have allowed our local parties to become. We don't have a bench. And, we should be embarrassed. And this should really be the thing where we say to ourselves, what the hell, y'all? I mean, I'm just going to be honest. At this point in 2022, why the hell not could Jeff Young win? I mean, let's just be honest, because it tracks. It tracks with the last several years of sheer hellscape that we've been in this state. So why not? I mean, why not, y'all? That's all I'm asking right now.
I think if you added in a Q plank, like, that he was going to help support the efforts to, rid Washington, D.C. of the, pedophile Dems, then maybe that'll get him enough credibility on the base.
That Kentuckians cared that much about the CIA. That's the other thing. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I don't lay around at night thinking about the CIA. Hell, I never think about the CIA. But, I'm just like, listen, it's Kentucky. It's 2022, y'all. Anything could happen. And, I was and I'll go back to the Amy McGrath thing. I was not a McGrath fan for the Senate race. Loved her for the House race. Senate race, she lost me. But, I was a Booker girl, which caused some problems. But,
I love democracy, and I will not say I was psyched to see a competitive primary for sure. And I don't think that Amy McGrath was anointed by Chuck Schumer. I think Kimberly was right in some degree. She was recruited to run for that. She was thinking about it. She knew that she had, the fundraising machine to do it. But I was in conversations. All right, it's not like me and Amy were talking one-on-one, but she was talking to a bunch of people, and I was in the room and I'm listening to what she was saying. And like, I was like, I think maybe you should just keep running for this seat. Like, let's do it again and see what happens in 2 years. That was my sage counsel. I don't know if she heard
Amy right now. And I'm going to ask her. I'm going to call Amy. Let me call her up right now. I'm calling her up.
But what I will say, I was psyched to see a competitive primary. Amy, I think we're always better with a competitive
Chuck Schumer, did he bromance you into running for Senate? Hold on. A-M-Y. Amy.
But she knew she could. She knew she could do the job, right? Not that she could win. I think she thought there was a chance, and there's a very specific strategy that she was running to run in this red city, their state, right? And now I'm
following her.
I did not endorse this move. I am.
See, now you're just showing off.
It's 7:44. She's putting kids to bed.
She's got her number too.
It's 7:44. She's putting kids to bed. She's not picking up.
Yeah, she's with the babies. I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it.
I'm so sorry. She was with the I keep forgetting she got little bitty kids.
I mean, they're getting older, but I will say this. I am excited to see what happens. This Rand Paul race versus Booker. We can finally, the progressive, thank God, you just have to run like a progressive, and then you're going to win in Kentucky. We can finally test that. And in a state, in a race that, no, why not? Like, as you said, Nema, why not? But Trump's not on the top of the ballot, rallying his mouth-breathing base. Like, Rand Paul's going to have to do it on his own. I don't know if you noticed, Rand Paul's been engaging in other primaries. He went into Ohio. I think he went to, what was the other one? I think, was he in Pennsylvania? He like endorsed some people there. He was cutting ads for people. All his endorsed candidates have lost. I think he's 100%. Anyone that he cut an ad for did not win. I'm like, what? Who is this?
Well, also let me say this. This is something that needs to be known for everyone to get out there and vote for Charles Booker, because this next term, if he wins it again, he will be in line for a chairmanship if the Republicans take the Senate, because right now we're 50-50 with Madam Vice President, my sorority sister, Kamala Harris. So
call Kamala. Let's get
Kimberly dialing in number.
What? Hold on. See, y'all messing with me now. Don't mess with me now.
When Amy calls back, we'll patch her in.
I'm gonna tell her all about what y'all said.
Okay. There's a lot of races that really matter. The Kentucky one, I'll be honest, was, I do have a paying job that works in politics as well. It's more of an advocate role. And I was talking to what's that?
It went straight to voicemail.
Straight
Don't
to
play with
voicemail.
me. Didn't you hear it, Nema? It went straight to voicemail.
Listen,
I wouldn't say that live on the air. Just to be clear, that wouldn't be my claim. I'm impressed you have her phone number.
I am fangirling right now. I'm impressed.
You don't know who
She's
I
putting
know.
kids to bed. Why are you bothering her? It's bedtime. There are baths to be given.
What do you think she is? 80.
Have you watched?
Who are you talking about, Kamala? She don't have any kids.
Have you ever?
She just
Who are
got
you
some
calling?
nieces and nephews.
Who are you calling right now?
She needs to be able to pick up the phone at 3 a.m. like Hillary could. Okay.
You called Camel? Who you did not
I'm not
call
calling
the vice
nobody at
president.
3 a.m. I don't want them calling me. But I'm gonna call Madam Vice President Kamala back.
Wait, what is going on here?
On my phone, I can show you these text messages from Barack Obama. Y'all playing
Text
with
messages
me.
from Barack. I get those too. I get those text messages
Do
from
you
Barack
have his
Obama.
phone number where he said you could call?
I get emails from
He
Speaker
said you
Pelosi,
could call
and they're
him
urgent.
and
They're
leave
urgent
him
emails.
messages. I got that number. Do y'all want that number? I'll give it to everybody. He said, call him on this number. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I'm not playing.
No.
Barack Obama said, call him on this number. Hold on. What's the number? Okay. It's a Chicago number.
That checks.
Area code.
Wait, no, he lives
Everybody
in DC
write
now.
this down.
He lives in DC.
Call Barack. He said, call him. Area code 773-365-9687.
All right, say that one more time. 773 what?
What am I calling it?
Uh,
Oh, I got his voicemail.
You went straight to voicemail there too. That's weird.
Look, y'all, you know what? Y'all not right.
no,
Listen to this.
I am a
Listen.
believer right now. I am a believer in your content.
Okay, you're talking. You can't even hear his voice. So let me do it one more time just for the road.
Hi, it's Barack Obama.
I heard him. I'm just gonna say though, he was an organizer. He wasn't an activist, and he was the most cerebral organizer that ever.
No, he wasn't.
Acorn.
No, he wasn't, because I was on the communications team for Hillary Clinton for president, and you know what? He had to be vetted, and I had to sign NDAs. Barack is cool, man. He's what you want to call a corporate thug. Here, he is not to be played around with. Okay, and Michelle, don't mess with her.
No.
Her mama will beat you down. But you just heard it. Hi, this is Barack. And I gave everybody the telephone number, but please don't tell him I gave it to you.
So on that line of thinking, do you think that we'll ever be able to regain that magic that we had with Barack? I know I stayed up, watched his acceptance speech, cried, and that was such a time of hope and sorry, my cat's wanting up here, but I just felt like energized and that we were moving in a right direction. And then it just seems like all hell broke loose, and I don't know what happened to us. Like, what happened?
I can tell you. I know. And I don't hardly know anything. Aaron could tell you that. I'm a communications person. I know how to spin stuff. But the real deal, and I remember this, the night that, we knew Hillary, she didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
And Van Jones on CNN, you know what he said? He said that this is a white lash against a black president.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But where did all of us, where did all of our voters go?
We're still
what
there.
I'm saying?
I think we're still there. And I think a lot of us turned out. I mean, a lot of that coalition turned out for Biden. Biden would not have been our nominee and eventually our president, but for incredibly strong turnout from the black community. Obviously, I think the youth turned out for him. Youth turned out for him in a real way in the general, right?
Wait a minute. Doug Price put on here phone number matches to a Barack Obama. No, Doug Price. Dougie Fresh. No. I got it in my phone. Barack Obama. Y'all just jealous. I know how y'all are, just jealous.
So we're all jealous of Kimberly's contacts.
Yes.
I like
that is
messing
true.
with y'all. But
That
look,
is true.
the real deal of it is, okay, Obama was fresh. And the one thing that his campaign team was beyond excellent, okay, for whatever that word may be in Webster's, they understood the power of social media, omni-channels, period. The first time in history, Doug Price is still talking about that number. Doug, okay, he gave me the California number. Just leave him a message. Don't tell him I told you. So that's what it was. They understood where social media was going. I didn't join Facebook until 2009, but my daughter had been on there since 2006 or 7. Like, oh, you need to get on here. Da, da, da.
Yeah,
They
I
understood
agree.
that. So who did he rally? Well, let's just say his campaign. Who really had the energy, and it just kind of was infectious? The young people.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he was all up in their domain, up in the DMs, as they say. They say it all goes down in the DMs. So I'm sure it was all in the DMs, and the young people were so excited for this cool guy that wears Wayfarer, Ray-Ban Wayfarers, okay? And he had that swag and that walk, and he had that talk. Those young people, they loved it. And they told their mamas and grandmamas, and then it just went on. And everybody, and I don't even understand why white people was upset. Like, he's half white. Like, I was more excited about Michelle because she looked like me. And, she just looked like she uses cocoa butter. Okay, like she smells like cocoa butter, and she uses Motion's hair oil on her black hair. Okay, and she looked like her mama would knock you out. So Scarlett Johansson, she had to hurry up and be removed because she had a crush on Obama, and Michelle and her mother got her up out of the deal quickly. That's why the mama was living at the White House.
I'm just, I don't know. I just remember that for myself, and then I guess it just kicked up all the bigots, and and I don't think black people were surprised at all that it kicked up the bigots, right? But I do think, as just a white girl from Kentucky, that was just kind of really energized, probably for the first time since Bill Clinton. That was the first person I voted for president. And
really,
okay. Yes, and I was, and I was energized by him too, because he was on Arsenio Hall show, and he, I'm showing my age now, but I mean, and it was on MTV, and that it was just cool, and and I guess for me, it was a call to arms too, and it should have been a call to arms for a lot of white people like me. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us moved to the suburbs and decided that a private school was best for our kids, and we didn't want violence in our neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And it's almost like we kind of went to sleep, because I look around sometimes and I'm like, where's everybody at? Like,
well, we went through no drama Obama. Smooth, fluid, to everything is bat stuff crazy. Like, we were like on 5-6 Red Bulls, like how we were feeling every day. And the comedian Cat Williams says it best in one of his Netflix specials. Cat Williams, you all know the comedian Cat Williams, right? Cat Williams said, as far as us black people were concerned, and he was kind of telling the truth about a lot of other people, but he said when Trump was in office, we all were looking at the news like it was the NBA playoff. And then if somebody left to go get something to eat or use the restroom, they come back like, what I miss? And I felt the same way. I'm like, you know what? I need to close myself off from social media for like a day or two. It was hard, but you couldn't even take a day or two off because when you got back, all hell and the third hell broke loose. And Hitler and everybody had come back. Like, what? In 2 days, Trump did what? And he did what and what? That's what we went through. And so now, a couple of years, going on a couple of years later, we are just now kind of, and every time we try to, some mess goes on. Just like Aaron, can I talk about Jefferson County for a moment? The hot tea.
Please.
Honey, this tea is so hot, you got to go to blow it down, because I'm going to tell you something. There is a very, very well-liked man. He was and still is the mayor of J-Town, which is a subdivision within Jefferson County. So, of course, he got the nomination last night, Mr. Bill Durham. But here goes where the problem is. He is so well-liked by even Democrats that some of them have come out and professed that they are going to vote for Bill Durham. He is a nice man. However, Frankfort wants Jefferson County. Frankfort wants Fayette County. Okay? They're doing everything, especially with Jefferson County right now. We talked about that on another show one time, Aaron, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it's bad.
About the school board with Mario Polo, the superintendent, and the school board. And matter of fact, I saw Pastor Corey Shull last night, the pastor of Burnett Avenue Baptist Church. It's a big mega church here as well. But he's also on the school board. And he's interested in coming on and talking. Yes, and Greenberg. I like Greenberg. I like him. I like the person that advocated for him. Barbara Sexton Smith. She was a former Metro council person. Let me tell you something. But when I did this forum that we did for the mayors, the mayoral forum, it was at U of L. I was receiving so many text messages and phone calls. Like they said, he seems fake. He seems like he's going to be a puppet. So we as Democrats, far and wide, all over this state, have to work hard, even in Jefferson County, to make sure that the nice man, Mr. Bill Durham, does not get into office, because he will be fulfilling the Republicans, or should we say the quasi-Republicans' agenda in Jefferson County. And if they can take over Jefferson County, Fayette is already on a platter for them.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's always Jefferson, then Fayette. That's the. Oh yeah. And
well, Linda Gordon actually is a Republican. So,
I voted for her. And my whole thing is it's not because I think she makes the best potluck at church on Sundays, but I really appreciated the way she handled the pandemic here in Lexington. And being basically a yellow dog Democrat, it was hard for me at first, because I'm like, wait a minute, isn't she a Republican? But then I'm like, okay, but she did a really nice job during the pandemic. And, I think she could have done a better job when we were having the protest downtown that coincided with you guys. I think she could have done a better job. But it wasn't anything like it was in Louisville with the chaos, with cops shooting at the media. And, it was nothing, to that level. And so I just really appreciated her calm head. And let me tell you something. She's kind of, she's not one of those reality star people. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, she's just steady.
Yeah,
You know?
no drama for sure, right?
Yeah.
Just does the job. Likes to be a consensus builder. Likes to, there's
Can I
been
say
some
this?
critiques. Go ahead.
I know we're running over, but I just really want to say this. You know, I don't always believe in an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I believe in taking the higher road. And I remember our wonderful, beautiful First Lady standing up there at the Democratic Convention saying that when they go low, we go high. Okay, yes. When they go low, we go higher to kick them in their butts. Whatever it takes, we go higher to get them out of office. You're right. When they go low, we go higher to tell the truth about who they are. Because this nice girl, nice guy stuff, it ain't working.
Well,
Is it working? Is it working? We're worried about Andy Barr. We're worried about Bill Durf. We're worried about. It should not be any worries. And I like what Charles Booker is saying. He's going in every nook and cranny of this state because we don't do the most excellent job of going in all these little small rural towns. And these people haven't even seen us, don't know us. And ever since Obama, they think we're just university, latte drinking,
vegans.
Ray-Ban Wayfarer, $200, $300 glass, sunglass wearing with a lot of swag. That's what they think about us. Yes, we are educated. Yes, we are drinking Starbucks. If we stop by a Starbucks, they go down. And I drink one almost every day. I didn't have one today, and be happy that I didn't because I would be off the rails. But the fact of the matter of it is, all this nice guy stuff has got to stop, and we got to be on the same page.
No, when the Republicans
I
are
agree with
calling,
that.
when the Republican attack is that you are a groomer, right? Like the gloves are off, people. I mean, I get it. You don't want to necessarily jump in the dirt with them, but you got to like expose what they're doing. You got to call them out. You got to tell the truth. Like that's why we call this kernels of truth. We don't want to lie about stuff, but we got to call them out. And respond with the positive vision of what we can do together. And that's what I love about Charles. He's got just a positive vision of rallying people together. I hope he does go to the haulers. I hope he brings, people with him just to make sure he's safe. But I think it's really important that, that message gets all throughout this great Commonwealth because, these are folks who are Democrats. And, a lot of them are registered Democrats,
And a lot of Republicans, when they understand that Rand Paul wants to take what little benefits that there are out here, because let us not forget, the courts are backed up, and even if they had 24-hour court, eviction court, it still would be backed up. So these people that were used to getting like these little green stamps or whatever, and the water's not the greatest, and this and that, the education's not the greatest, they are the ones that need to know, look, this is what Charles says. This is what Rand Paul says. Oh, you don't believe me? It was even on Fox.
And then the other piece that's I think really critically important is, we got to point out that what Biden has done, what a very closely divided Senate, but a Democrat-led Senate was able to get done. And the checks that are showing up because the projects that are being done, these infrastructure funded efforts, like that's important. Like that's a legacy, and that's real benefit to real communities. It's water systems, it's bridges, it's roads, it's high-speed internet. A lot of things that are going to make people's life appreciably better. And they got to remind everyone that Rand Paul voted against this. Rand Paul did not want you to have this bridge, right?
Well,
and anyone,
can I say this as well? And you guys tell me what you think about this, okay? Yes, we can hit them with the facts and all of that, but some people are so ritualistic. This is my ritual. I voted whatever. So when the general election comes, I don't check off everybody. I just circle Democrat and I'm done, right? So they do the same thing a lot of times. And they have Republicans in their town running that they know, Billy. Billy Bob Joe and, whomever that's running for whatever. So they're not going to take that time, but we have to make it worth their while. And sometimes we are so politically savvy and educated, and we have to understand that 97% of our constituency of this state is what you want to categorize as a low information voter. Like, we haven't talked about this, but I'm sure there's some mothers all over Kentucky that's freaking out right now that they can't get baby infant formula.
Oh yeah.
Did you really think about that, Aaron? Did you really? I didn't. Because
I've
if I
seen
have
the
a
news.
baby
I know
now,
it's an issue. It's certainly something that, if Charles Booker is serious about helping people out, he should find a hookup and get that out there into communities. But
well,
yeah, I get it.
it's a supply chain type of issue. So our wonderful president has put forth the Production Act to get more infant formula made. Okay, I'm not worried about it, because if I was to be pregnant and have a baby, it would have to definitely be immaculate conception. Okay, just telling you, menopause is a thing. So the fact of it is that that's not really your thing, Aaron. Your kids are not, Nema, we didn't really think about that.
No, but it's real.
But
It is real, and
but
it's
our
motivating for sure.
president is thinking about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And those people
Absolutely.
in those rural areas, and even right here in these metropolitan areas that we live in, have young mothers right now freaking out. I mean, it's been all on social media and everything. When they go in the store, it's the shelves are bare, and they're like, "What am I gonna do?" Okay, well, baby, maybe you should have breastfed for a little bit. But besides that, maybe their child couldn't take it, and they needed the infant formula. So that's the type of things that we need to be telling our people out here. These are the type of things that Democrats do. And then maybe it's just jealousy. You want to be a latte drinking. Okay, we can give us some
I think there are a
Starbucks.
lot of Republicans at Starbucks. All right, so we have to go on. We have gone long. We're skipping segments because we don't have time. We got to wrap this show
This
up.
was fun.
It was fun. I'm sorry I was
Nema,
late.
I'm so glad you came on here, because he wasn't even treating me right.
I wasn't.
He
I was
was
not.
not treating me right at all. I tell you the truth.
So thank you for joining us, Nema. I think Kimberly, you can close us out. But I
Yes.
did want to just say next week, we will have a guest. This week we did not have a guest, but very important issues to be covered on this show next week. So I hope you will log in. All right, Kimberly, get us out of here.
Hey, everybody. It's been a great show tonight. Nema was on here. Aaron, my little brother. You know what little brothers do. They get on your nerves, but you love them, right? I love Aaron. No, he is the best host this side of the Mississippi. There would be no kernels of truth if it were not for Aaron. And thank you to Nate for doing the production tonight. You did a great job. I felt like Joy Reid, and I really appreciate that. And also the songs that you hear on the opening and the closing, they come from Nate Dogg, as I call him. So you can go to his website, which is natosongs.com, natosongs.com. All of this will be in the description box in the comments below for you if you missed anything. And yes, I think somebody did put Barack's number down there. Give him a call, let him know what's going on with you in your area. So I got to do like this little thingamajiggy here called a disclaimer, but I want to let you know that Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit 501c4, and that we are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and the Commonwealth Alliance Voter Engagement, otherwise known as CAVE. All right. And Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Some logo and the logo and some graphics, should I say, were done for us by Couchfire Media. So go to couchfiremedia.com and you'll see some of their great work. And also the Jones Report is coming this Sunday at 2 p.m. on the Jones Report radio program page. And also there'll be information here on the Progress Kentucky page as well. So we are working very, very, very hard to have Morgan McGarvey on Sunday. I was at his party and it was wonderful, and so many people were there. So he's down for it. We just got to get the scheduling together. And if not him, somebody else. I can't say equally as great, but somebody else. And if you miss it and your friends missed it, tell them to go on the Progress Kentucky Facebook page and they can see this broadcast replayed for them. And in case you're at work and your boss doesn't want you looking at stuff on your computer, right? You can put your earphones in, you can put your AirPods in and listen to us on most places where podcasts are heard, like Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and on and so forth. So, this is Hump Week. We've made it halfway there to the stretch line over the weekend. Keep your spirits up. We are making strides in this state to make it purple, and eventually it will be blue. So do something nice for somebody, pay it forward, and you will be blessed as well. Until then, we'll see you at the same bat channel, bat time, right here next week. Bye.